Welcome to C-Vine News. You're listening to The Truth with your host, Linda Forsyth, and the man with the coolest name in radio, Pimpy.
Welcome back to C-Vine, We the People. This is Linda Forsyth, and I'm here with my host, Pimpy. Today we have a great guest back, a guest that was fantastic in the past, and he will be again. We've got Sheriff Richard Mack, who's the founder of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. He also was the former sheriff of Graham County in Arizona, and he filed a lawsuit and won against the Clinton administration to stop gun control associated with the Brady Bill. Welcome, Sheriff.
Well, thanks for having me again, Linda. It's great to be with you and Pimpy and America.
Well, you are certainly making a huge difference as you're not only educating people about what constitutional sheriffs can do, but also how they very much can stand against tyranny and unconstitutional mandates. And so the more people realize how much power a constitutional sheriff has, why don't you briefly explain exactly what is a constitutional sheriff for those that are new with us? And from what I understand, you're the one that coined that term.
Yeah, I think I was. I never heard of the term until I started putting it out there. And obviously, 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, when I formed the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, I never really heard that term before that. So I give myself credit for coming up with that nickname or slogan that has now gone viral across America. And even the Washington Post, who did an article about sheriffs and me and the CSPOA just a couple of days ago, I was kind of surprised. I was going through the news on MSN on my computer, and there was a picture of me and some other sheriffs. And it was pursuant to the article by the Washington Post. Now, all of us know that the Washington Post is a leftist liberal hack. And so I was really surprised pleasantly that they didn't completely try to destroy me. They only told about 5 or 6 lies on me. And I thought the whole thing was going to be a pack full of lies. And they actually told the truth a few times.
What?
I know. So I was surprised. I told them that I knew they were going to do a hack job on me. And I said, but I do not turn interviews down. I do not hide from reporters. I said, I will tell you the truth. What you do with it is your deal, whether I interview with you or not. The one thing that I'm surprised that got in there is that the reporter, her name was Kimberly Kindy, Kindy, she referred to me an article or a statement made about me from the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. And I said, that's really nice of the ADL to have such character, or the lack of character, that they put stuff out publicly about me, and they never once talked to me about it. And so the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL know that if they can just find some lies about me on the internet, and then they plagiarize those lies and act like they belong to them, that they can say them without being held accountable.
That's the tactic of the media.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing of it is, it shows such a lack of character and a lack of honesty and integrity. And so she was shocked. She said, now you mean that the ADL has never reached out to you, has never called you, never texted you, never emailed you, never called one of your staff? No one in your organization has been contacted by the ADL before they made that statement. I said, not before, during, or after. They have never contacted me ever. And she acted like that she was really offended by that. And it turns out that she never brought that up once in her article but she did quote the ADL, what they said about me. So she's just as culpable as they are. And
I think a lot of them are complicit in that kind of reporting.
yeah, and now I have another. So now within the last 10 months, 9 months, this Kendi is the third reporter to contact me from WAPO. And there's another one that's coming into the Phoenix area this weekend that wants to talk to me. So in the past, 6 years, 5 years, there's been 5 different reporters from the Washington Post that have interviewed me, that have interviewed me. Number 5 will be this weekend. He has already contacted me and said that he wants to talk to me. I don't know why there's 5 different reporters, why they don't get together and just have one do it. But anyway, they all want a piece of me, I guess. And
could it be what's going on in Wisconsin? Is that possible?
I'm sorry?
Could it be because of what's going on in Wisconsin?
Yeah, the new one said that he wanted to talk about the mood of law enforcement nationwide. So I'm sure that it probably does. So I'm just this simple guy. I keep telling him I'm just a simple guy. I was sheriff in a small town. I just want to uphold and defend the Constitution. I want to keep my word. I want to keep my oath. I want Americans to be free. I want my children and my grandchildren left alone to run their own lives. I want government to defend their right to be left alone. I want government to follow the Constitution and to keep their word and to keep their oath, and miraculously somehow quit following their Democrat or Republican platforms and follow the Constitution and uphold and defend civil rights in this country. I just have to ask every person in this country, especially the NAACP and the liberal Black community, whatever happened to civil rights, and why do you follow people who violate them today?
That being said,
money talks as well. I think these people are getting paid big money just to push a false narrative. I mean, there's corporations taking a shellacking in profits just to push this agenda. They don't care. I think they've all band together and said, look, here's the deal. If any one of us or more of us go down, the other people pick up the slack monetarily wise, or they're just so rich they don't care. We're at that point. I think they're being subsidized by China, to be quite honest with you. They're saying, look, we'll open up our marketing to you guys, but this is what we want from you. I mean, it's a combination of things I think that's going on out there. But I'm glad. It seems like the tide seems to be turning just a little bit. What do you think, Linda?
Well, I do think so. And I think there is many people that would like an answer to this next question, Sheriff Mack. Okay. Today, of us doing this recording, which is November 4th, an OSHA vaccination policy briefing for state and local leaders just came out. And I was notified about it because of a sheriff deputy in another state just received notification of this. And for the most part, it is saying, for those of you that have not heard of this yet, that businesses have until the holidays to implement the Biden COVID vaccine mandate, which the key points are: the newly released rules issued by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration under Labor Department apply to businesses with 100 or more employees. Now, this is coming from OSHA. Businesses have until January 4th to make sure that their workers have received the shots necessary to be fully vaccinated. All unvaccinated workers must begin wearing masks by December 5th and provide a negative COVID test on a weekly basis after the January deadline, according to requirements. And companies are not required to pay or provide the test unless they are otherwise required to by the state or local laws under labor union contracts. So the Biden administration ordered the U.S. companies on Thursday, today, to ensure their employees are fully vaccinated by January 4th or regularly tested for COVID-19. So is that considered constitutional, Sheriff Mack? And do sheriffs have to make certain that these mandates are followed?
Well, that's a great question. I will say this, that the sheriffs have the power to create this emoji with a big hand and a big finger sticking up out of the middle of it. That the sheriffs can give that to the I'm sorry, I almost said administration. They can give that to the Biden dictatorship. They can give that to all of Congress. They can give it to OSHA, and they can tell OSHA to stay the hell out of their counties. And if they don't, they can take action against OSHA. The sheriffs of this country have the power, the responsibility, the authority, and the constitutional obligation to protect their citizens from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. It just so happens that the federal government today, with this current dictatorship in the White House, that they have become the enemy of liberty and the enemy of America. And the greatest threat to our country is our own federal government, and that can be stopped county by county, one good constitutional sheriff at a time. And we've had even the sheriff of Los Angeles County, Sheriff Villanueva, who has actually announced publicly that he will not enforce or allow these mandates in his jurisdiction or within his sheriff's office. That is exactly what we're having in a lot of the rural counties in Texas and in Utah and in Idaho. It's going nationwide now. Florida sheriffs are standing strong. We are so proud of the sheriffs that are standing against these mandates. And it is absolutely true that they can stop it, that they should stop it, and that they are under solemn oath to protect their citizens from this type of tyranny and abuse and oppression.
While the people's voices are being heard, in case you missed this recent election, we saw a bunch of Republicans win in territories they had no business in winning in. We had a truck driver win a Senate seat from a career Democrat with the $200 commercial that he made on his phone.
I love it. I love it. And I love it. However, I mean, I was thrilled with Youngkin and some of those other victories, like you said, the truck driver. But let me tell you, this pendulum swing in American politics has happened lots of times. I'm a little bit afraid of it. I'm afraid that this gives the Democrats an entire year to reverse course and to hurry up and make things better before the 2022 elections. I really think that this may have been a warning shot to them that gets them back to trying to be moderates again.
I think it's going to be the opposite. I think they're going to be more aggressive because I think they're in panic mode.
But believe me, if you look at the pendulum swing,
yes,
when the Republicans get in, the Democrats win in the off-year elections. And I'm just really afraid that this pendulum swing gives them a chance to come back and smarten up. I hope they don't smarten up. I hope they keep doing what they're saying they're going to do and that they're going to double down on all of this. But this is the problem. I don't take a lot of comfort in it, although I was thrilled with it, and I still am. I don't take a lot of comfort because that pendulum has always been swinging. It happened to Trump. It happened to Obama. It happened to Bush. It happened to Clinton. This pendulum swing in politics in America, we've got to stop that pendulum with the Constitution and with the principles of liberty that America was founded upon, instead of just this back and forth pendulum of Republican politics and Democrat politics, where nothing much really happens or is accomplished. We do not have a restoration of the Constitution in Washington, D.C. by either party. Yes. And it hasn't happened. And both parties support the tyranny and cruelty of the IRS. Both parties. Both parties.
Well, we'll have to vote in more truck drivers.
Well, that's right. Exactly. And we need that overhaul. We need more people involved. And the thing of it is, the sheriffs can stop all of this abuse. There's some of them that are ignorant and don't know that they can. There's some others that don't want to, and then there's others that are doing their best to keep their word and to keep their oath. I still am so frustrated with sheriffs who say they don't have the authority to do this. That's literally a sheriff saying, I don't have the authority to keep my oath of office. And I ask this, and I want to ask this right now. At every one of our conferences, I ask sheriffs and other public officials, who in the United States of America has the obligation, the moral and constitutional and lawful obligation to protect liberty and to defend civil rights? And I have never heard a single one say, I don't. Everybody knows the answer to that question. We all do, and especially sheriffs who have sworn an oath in God's name that they will do just that. And so we, the people, we have an obligation to do that. And sheriffs have an obligation to do that with their constituents. And when we commit our acts of civil disobedience and our acts of non-compliance with this out-of-control dictatorship that's destroying America today, and this communist takeover of America, that we have an obligation to stand against it. When we stand with our people in their civil disobedience and their non-compliance, that is when this power is taken to the 10th power, and then we can take back America, because it is both parties who are complicit in its destruction.
Oh, that's beautifully said, Sheriff. You know, Virginia had a fantastic win where Glenn Youngkins, he won the governor in Virginia over.
Believe me, I was praying for his victory.
Well, I do have a question for you.
I'm still suspicious that Murphy's win.
A little bit later yesterday, after the announcement of Glenn Youngkins winning, 5 women were shot and 3 were killed in Norfolk, Virginia. It's like they were saying that it was a massacre. So the timing of that is a little bit concerning. Now, my question to you is, how many constitutional sheriffs, approximately, I know I'm catching you off guard here, but how many constitutional sheriffs exist in Virginia? Because it's going to be what? And it won't be until January until this governor, Glenn Youngkins, gets into office. There's a lot that can happen between now and then. So how many constitutional sheriffs are there in the state of Virginia approximately? And
well, that's a good question. And I have a real good answer for you. In September of 2019, so just 2 years ago, we had our national convention in Lynchburg, Virginia at Liberty University. And Liberty University offered their facility to us for free. And they were, in fact, they backed us up on a lot of finances to have that conference there. It's a beautiful university, beautiful facility. And we had about 250 people show up. Most of them were public officials and sheriffs from across the country. There were about 13 there from Virginia. And I happen to know that there are several more than those 13. If sheriffs and public officials attend our training and our conferences, they will not leave the same. They will be touched by the necessity for all of us to get on board and restore liberty to America, and to restore our Constitution as the supreme law of the land. So I believe that there are sufficient constitutional sheriffs there. Sheriff Richard Vaughn, Sheriff Scott Jenkins, Sheriff Smith from Greene County. There's numerous others. And I am proud of the sheriffs there. And as a matter of fact, dozens of sheriffs told us that if Youngkin did not win, they were going to leave the state. And I don't believe they were joking. Florida has told law enforcement officers around the country, come to Florida. We are hiring. We want you here. $5,000 bonus for you to hire on any agency here.
Santos.
Governor DeSantis said that. And so this does buy us some time. The Youngkin victory does buy us some time. The truck driver that beat the Senate president, Sweeney,
I can't
also
believe that still.
just amazing. The black lady who won, lieutenant governor,
Yeah.
and how she's been.
Spears, is that her name?
Winsome Sears.
Yes, yeah, Newsom Spears, yeah, and she's
No,
wonderful.
Winsome.
Winsome, I'm sorry, Winsome, Newsom, Winsome. What a beautiful lady, what a powerful lady, and she's telling these other dark complected Americans, telling them, why don't you tell the truth? Why don't you get your facts straight? And we don't want to be divided by you any longer. You've been lying to the American people.
Yes.
I'm here to tell you that that racism doesn't exist the way you guys want to portray it, that we can work together with whites and everybody else in this country and make America free again.
Sheriff Mack, our program director actually has that short clip. You want us to play it real
yes,
quick?
play it.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
please.
absolutely.
Victory indeed. But I say to you, there are some who want to divide us, and we must not let that happen. They would like us to believe we are back in 1963 when my father came. We can live where we want. We can eat where we want. We own the water fountains.
I love that.
We have had a black president elected not once but twice, and here I am, living proof.
That is excellent. That's Winsome Sears, Lieutenant Governor.
I absolutely
of
love
Virginia.
her remarks that we own the water fountains. She's actually talking about how blacks were not able to drink out of the same water fountains. Well, we black Americans who believe in liberty, we own those fountains.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. She was wonderful.
Doesn't it get you fired up, huh?
I want to shake her hand because this farce of CRT and this farce that race relations in America are horrible and that they're at all-time low. The only reason that exists is because the Democrats keep lying about it.
Yes.
And
Well, the media perpetrates it too.
I taught at a school where the school was 60% Hispanic and about 15% black, and whites were in a minority. And I will tell you right now, the student council had Asians and blacks and whites and Hispanics, and they all got along great, and they still do. And they work together in volleyball and basketball and baseball and sports and student council, and the teachers work with them. And there was a black girl just last year who was the valedictorian of her class out of about 100 students, and everybody loved her. And she was involved in student council, and she was involved in drama and music, and all the teachers loved her, and she loved everybody. And you know what? People got along there, and I love that school. And it was Heritage Academy in Arizona. It's a charter school, and it's based on the founding fathers and the Constitution. And if we come together and restore our Constitution and enforce the Bill of Rights, that will be freedom for everybody in America. It's freedom for every single American. No one is excluded. We are all available to be free.
Thomas Sowell, you know the economist, Sheriff Mack, he's the one who quoted, "Racism is not dead, but it is on life support, kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racist."
Yeah, and I so admire Winsome Sears and other people of color who are standing for freedom in America. I don't care if she's Democrat or Republican. I care that she's an American standing for liberty and standing for what's right.
Another sheriff that has really stood up for the Constitution last week, Sheriff Christopher Schmaling from Racine County in Wisconsin Sheriff Office.
Yep.
He announced proof of statewide election law violations where he had been investigating over the last year. And he stated the election law was not just broken, but shattered.
Yep.
By the Wisconsin Election Commission. And the Right Side broadcast did an entire show last week, was absolutely awesome. He kicked butt. He really laid it out there. Another fantastic example of a constitutional sheriff.
Yeah, I like Sheriff Smaling, and I think he's setting the example to the rest of the sheriffs in America. And just about every sheriff in this country should be verifying the vote, that the vote was integrous in his county. And there's no exception to that, because what we do know is that these computer machines are easily hacked, and every sheriff has an obligation to make sure that theirs wasn't, and that there was no criminal activity and fraud committed in his county. And every sheriff has an obligation to do exactly what Sheriff Smaling did, and that is prove to his constituents that their vote counts and that it was not fraudulent when they voted that day.
Sheriff
We
Mack,
all deserve that answer, and we deserve that audit and justification.
Sheriff
We
Mack, I got a question for you real quick.
We, the people, have an absolute duty to contact the sheriff within our county and demand that. It's very simple. They are elected by we, the people. So we, the people, contact the sheriff and demand that they double check exactly what went on during the last election, especially the 2020 election, and make them do it. It's really that simple, correct?
Yes, it is. And if the sheriffs will take this seriously, I believe that they can bust through every barrier that the Democrats are throwing their way. And in some cases, Republicans as well, because we had a couple of those out here in Arizona. We had a couple.
Yes,
of
that leads me to this question, Sheriff Mack. Here's my question.
Okay.
When we watched the audit happen and you had politicians bickering back and forth, they were requesting the routers and they were told no. But if the sheriffs believe there is a crime involved and they request the routers, will they have the access to the routers? Is that the right way to go? Do they have more authority to go after the routers than what we saw happen during the Arizona audit?
Yes, and they do, and they can, but I'm thinking that they would still need to get a warrant to get those routers. And if they couldn't get a warrant, if the judges refused to allow them to get a warrant, I don't know how they would have done it. However, in this particular case, in Phoenix, that's Maricopa County, and they have a Democrat hack that's the sheriff, and he was hiding evidence. He was hiding evidence and protecting the county commissioners in their criminal activity. So we need somebody to investigate that sheriff and the county commissioners.
I need to go in there and arrest him.
Yeah, he deserves it.
Obstruction of justice.
Yeah,
What about the New Jersey election where Philip Murphy narrowly was reelected over Jack Citrelli? Is that pronounced right?
56 machines broke down. They had to wait magically, as always, overnight when the Republican was winning. And then when we woke up, surprise.
Well, Phillips is the very first
It's one thing to
Democrat,
take
right?
Virginia, but can you imagine a Republican taking over New Jersey?
Oh, I know.
Well,
I
this
know.
Democrat was the first reelected in over 4 decades. Phillips was as a Democrat. And Project Veritas caught on film a New Jersey election worker with Project Veritas that basically was stating that all these various different individuals, whether they were non-citizen or unregistered voters, they would let them fill out the ballots right now. And although one of them did say it may not count, but they'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
So who's the sheriff of that county?
Of which one?
It's in, the New Jersey election worker on Project Veritas.
Oh, I don't know. We'd have to look that up.
I think that's something we definitely should look up on.
We have some pretty good sheriffs in New Jersey. but it's not in the major metropolitan areas. So Newark would not be one.
Sheriff Mack, do you guys ever see something in the news and you say to yourself, you know what, this isn't right, and you kind of call the sheriff in that other town, and I know you don't want to overstep your boundaries, but go, you know what, this is wrong, and you need to do something about that. Does it ever happen? Is it like that kind of a brotherhood when you can talk to each other?
Oh yeah,
that way?
we've done that before. Absolutely. And I think maybe your listeners, you kind of asked us at the beginning, and I jumped right into some of these more emotional issues. But I want everybody to understand this. Your sheriff is the supreme executive, the executor of the law in every county or parish in this country where he is elected. There's a few here and there that are appointed. That is extremely dangerous, and that's destructive of our constitutional republic. In a republic, the people choose their representatives. We choose who serves as our sheriff. And when politicians try to make it to where they choose for us, they are destroying our republic and destroying the principle of we the people being in charge of our own government. And so we the people bestow all power in this country. When this country was formed, it was a new experiment that the people would be in charge of all government. And indeed, you can see this. We are the final say. We the people are the final say in every criminal and civil court case in America.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously, the accused or the person or the plaintiff can decide not to have a jury, but that too is his or her right. But in America, we are in charge. We appoint our sheriff. Every 4 years, we decide who will be our sheriff. The reason he is so powerful is the history behind the sheriff, and also because he reports directly to the power source. He has no other boss or supervisor. He reports only to the people, and he has promised them in God's name a solemn oath that he will protect and defend their unalienable rights, the rights that are untouchable because they're the rights that came from God. And we have the right to choose for ourselves how to live our lives, and what we do to protect our own health is our choice, not government's. And that is why the sheriffs have to get involved in these ridiculous, dictatorial, Hitleric mandates.
Sheriff Mack, you always get me fired up. I feel like I got to run out and tackle somebody. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I want to tackle somebody, man. He gets me fired up. I got a quick question for you, Sheriff Mack, because I know you're running out of time. Kyleittenhouse, that's a controversial story. He's the boy that had the AR, defended himself.
I know.
Now you see this kid in Texas shoots up a school. By the end of the night, he's already released, having a party at his house, and is back to school. Back to school, the same school that he shot up. The difference, Kyle, is a white conservative.
Happen? I just shaking my head. I can't figure out how that happened. I have some problems with the Kyle Rittenhouse case on both sides. I'm sorry, but I have to ask, where in the hell were his parents? Why was he out in the streets with a gun? You know, I would have been telling my son, what in the hell do you think you're doing? Get out of there. He should have never been down there. But did he commit a crime? Did he intentionally kill somebody or murder somebody? Was it legitimate self-defense? You know, some of it really, to me, seems like it is, but I want to wait and see all the evidence.
Yeah, I'm going to wait to see all of it.
But it still bugs me that he was there in the first place, and where his family was, and what on earth was he thinking? How could he possibly be helping in the middle of all that chaos?
Well, the FBI just released new video that they had. And it really looks like, you know, that guy was attacked based on what we saw. He's running and asking people if they want medical help. He shot a gun up in the air to scare away people who were smashing up trucks, and then they attacked him. Now, again, you can't draw any conclusion from there, but the fact that the FBI has anything like this and waits until the wee hour before midnight to try to, you know, release it or show people things, I just lost all faith and trust in any of our intelligence agencies.
Well, the thing of it is, our Justice Department is a political department. It's not about justice. It's about supporting the Biden dictatorship, and that's all it is. And too many judges.
And Obama before then.
Too many judges are part of that corruption as well. So,
Sheriff
hey, you
Mack,
guys, thanks so much.
well, before you
Sheriff
go,
Mack,
can you
thank you.
please tell us where people can go to the next Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, how they can get in contact with you, how they can join it?
Yes, you can join us. You can donate. You can be part of this holy cause of liberty, and go to CSPOA, stands for Constitutional Sheriffs Peace Officers Association, cspoa.org. Everyone in America can become a member. Please do join us in this holy cause. We need your involvement, your help, and you need to be working with your sheriff, and we can train you how to do that.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Mack. We will be having you back.
C-Vine will be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Are you at risk of losing everything you have worked for all these years? Hi, this is Attorney Ron Osk. If you are a business owner and have been impacted by the COVID-19 shutdown, you may be able to save your business and bring it back to life by filing a Chapter 13 bankruptcy or a small business Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Our office has over 38 years of experience with assisting businesses and their families to keep their assets and continue to make their living. The purpose of a Chapter 13 or Chapter 11 is not to liquidate your business as you would with a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. The purpose of a Chapter 13 or Chapter 11 bankruptcy is to restore your business to good health. Call us today to schedule a free phone or Zoom consultation, toll-free at 1-800-660-5608. That's 1-800-660-5608. Or visit our website at www.askbankruptcy.net.
Hey folks, just a quick reminder that back in 2008 and 9, a lot of people lost all of their retirement savings and their 401ks and IRAs because they did not own gold and silver. Yeah, that's right. Gold and silver protects you from a market crash. So do yourself a favor, protect your retirement by purchasing gold and silver. You can go to moneymetals.com, reach out to them, and they will help you set yourself up to protect you and your family from having to start all over from scratch. If you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code PIMPY, P-I-M-P-Y, and they will send along with your order a free half ounce of silver. So folks, do yourself a favor, head on over to moneymetals.com and protect you and your family from a market crash, as well as inflation.
AM 590, The Answer.
Welcome back to C-Vine, We the People. That was an incredible time that we had with Sheriff Mack.
Yes.
I mean, we learned so much of what is happening. You know what, Pimpy? You are quite the man in understanding what's going on in the gold and silver market, and even with, some of these other things that are going on. I really don't know that much about it, but you definitely are an incredible source. Why don't you bring us up to date on what is happening with that?
Well, I mean, gold and silver is moving positively today. There's a couple of reasons why. A lot of people don't understand when the Fed says they're going to start tapering what they're doing to the market. So here's what happens, because I'm trying to figure out a way to put it in layman's terms. The Fed is artificially pumping up the stock market is what they're doing. And so when you start tapering, that is the amount of money they spend every week, which I think is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $120 billion. When you start tapering, that means the amount of money that they're spending to help support the market, they're going to start pulling back. They're going to stop artificially pumping up the market. And what happens is, usually then you start to see the market move in its natural way. And if nobody's artificially pumping up, a lot of people are expecting a pretty good market crash. So, that's gold and silver is always biggie. And that's why it's moving in a positive direction today. And it's jumping up pretty decently. Gold and silver is a safe haven. Everybody knows that. They get out of riskier assets like stocks. And ironically, this time around, even bonds is considered a risk just because of where the state of our country is and the state of the world as far as our economies are concerned. there's another indication that the markets are being held up on, let's just say cardboard, however way you want to put it. We're looking at the fact that the real estate market is, for the last few months, the housing prices have been going down. We're looking at today, Zillow, who's one of these, they list properties for sale, but they decided to get into the flipping market for some reason. And they were doing pretty decent, but they were buying homes way above the market price and then selling them really high. And they were doing a pretty good job there for a little while. But now it's come back to bite them right in the butt, because they're having to offload about 7,000 houses because the market is dropping to the point where they can't sell the houses for the money they spent on them. So they're losing a ton of money. The irony of this is that the CEO of the company blamed it on algorithms, a computer, because they were using algorithms to try to figure out what houses to buy and flip. My thing is this: nothing substitute having humans pay attention to the market. There's things that humans have more awareness on, they have more of a gut feeling on, and having a human do this type of work instead of an algorithm obviously pays off more dividends. When you have an algorithm, it only reads 1 and 0s. It can't read the temperature of the market. It can't, get a feeling of people's emotions when it comes to buying and selling houses. Nothing substitute a human. It just doesn't. But Zillow, with the fact that Zillow is offloading about 7,000 houses under market just to get rid of them before they take a hard hit, the fact that the feds are now tapering back on their the quantitative easing is what they're doing. They're tapering back on that, and they're going to stop artificially pumping the market, is what's causing everybody to run to gold and silver. So I'm excited about it. I am a person who's invested in the gold and silver, and I think it's something that people should do. That's just my opinion. But yeah, you can see the writing's all over the wall. It's not just here in the United States, though. You have to pay attention to what's going overseas as well. So if you pay attention to what's going over there in China, which they have a problem with their largest real estate developer, which is Evergrande. The problem with Evergrande is there are a ton of retirement pensions here in the United States that are invested into that company really heavy. So if that company defaults on his loan and just crashes, then these pension funds here in the United States are going to be affected as well. So that's something you got to watch for. But it's not just their number one real estate developing company. Their top 3 are starting to default on their payments. Now, you remember what happened to Lehman Brothers, right? So if we think about what happened to Lehman Brothers, this is Lehman Brothers times 10, and this is a worldwide crash. This isn't just here in the United States. This is really going to be bad. So people just need to be, you just got to be smart about, how you're investing your money. Just be careful. And if people are not careful, they can get hit with what's called a bail-in. And one of these shows, I'll explain what a bail-in is, and people need to just be careful from that. But there's no doubt the market's going to crash. All the signs are there. The Fed's pulling back on their artificially pumping the markets. We're looking at real estate going down now for its 4th or 5th consecutive month. The fact that Zillow is now offering 7,000 homes, I can't believe this, offloading them for cheaper than they bought them for. So these are all signs that something's going to happen, and that's why you're seeing gold and silver jump up like they are.
Well, you're talking about that you're pretty certain that the market is going to crash, and I know I've been hearing this myself for quite some time. So explain to some of us in the limited time we have left, very briefly, what happens if the market completely crashes? Those that obviously have gold and silver, we're talking physical gold and silver, I'm assuming.
Yes. So, there's paper gold and silver, which are like your ETFs, stuff like that. You don't want to have paper silver. You just don't, because it's affected by the market. Physically owning the gold and silver, that it's in your possession, you're safe. Having paper silver, paper gold, you're not safe. January of this year, we exposed the fact that these companies that sell these, you're supposed to be able to exchange your shares for ounces of gold or silver. They were exposed really bad, that they don't have the amount of gold and silver to cover if everybody came in at one time and demanded physical possession. They don't have it. They don't have the inventory. So because of that, you can't trust holding on to paper gold and silver. Paper gold and silver is used to manipulate the market as well. So what you really want to do, you have to own the physical gold and silver. Has to be in your possession. And why people invest into gold and silver is to protect their retirement nest egg. Because if the market crashes, let's think 2007, 2008, when the market did crash, people had IRAs, people had 401ks. They lost, anywhere between 40 and 60% of their retirement savings because they were invested into stocks. So if the stock market crashes, so does your retirement account. And then they end up using the rest of their retirement savings to live off of because it took a while for people to get back to work. So basically, the people who were enjoying retirement had to go back to work. Now, the savvy people that said, hey, I want to protect and hedge against a market crash, hedge against inflation, they bought physical gold and silver and they kept it in their possession and they were protected. So they came out on the other side, pretty good, unscathed compared to people who do not hold physical gold and silver. I personally have it myself. I have about 8,000 ounces of silver and about 25 ounces of gold myself.
Well, a lot of us are in a position where we don't really have the funds to be able to purchase physical gold and silver. So, those of us that have decided to do something, that's good to know that there is a certain amount of protection there.
Wow, look, I've talked to many people who said, Pimpy, I don't have no money. And I made a video one time called No Excuses, and it changed people's lives. I said, look, you can, I know people don't like to hear this. I said, look, I know you're tired when you get off work, but think about maybe temporarily getting a part-time job and using all that money to invest into gold and silver. It doesn't take very much to protect yourself. How about that? You go in your house and you got that treadmill. It works really good for drying clothes, but when's the last time you've been on it? Have a yard sale, have a bake sale, collect aluminum cans. I could bring on all kinds of subscribers that will tell you that they heard my video and they went out and they did exactly what I'm talking about. And now they hold on to, hundreds, in some cases, thousands of ounces of silver. And they did it and they're happy about making a choice. One lady took the part-time job and she said she was cursing my name out the whole time till she got the first check because she knew what I was saying was right. And she went and got her first check and she bought it. She spent all of it on silver. When her silver delivery came, she was so excited. Then she said she's more motivated now for her second job because she knows all that money goes to buying her gold and silver. Then she has her first job and she's well over 2,000 ounces right now of silver and a few ounces of gold. So I know some people are like, I just don't have the time. You need to find the time. You need to find a way, because if you're not prepared for what's coming, you could really be left out in the cold and having to start all over from scratch.
Those are all outstanding points. I mean, especially when everywhere you look now, and it's almost surreal to see it, that there are help wanted signs everywhere. Now, I don't know what's holding people back from, getting a couple of jobs in or whichever. Do you think maybe it's because of the vaccine mandates, or it's just laziness? Or
yeah, it's a combination. The mandates people are rebelling against it. We're seeing that. We're seeing it in the election. We just talked about that. People are walking away from their jobs. If 1/3 of our firefighters, police force, our doctors, our nurses all walk away from their job, that leaves everything in total chaos here in this country. But to get back to what we're talking about, you need something outside of the system as well. The system is going to crash. The dollar is worthless. Anybody that knows anything about investments know the dollar has been dead for some time. You're going to see not just inflation, but you're going to see super inflation. And if you don't have gold and silver to protect yourself from inflation, again, your money is just inflation. All inflation is a hidden tax, and you're just being taxed to death. As super inflation comes, you're going to start spending, like $20, $30 for a loaf of bread. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's what happened in Venezuela. It's happened in other countries too. So you don't want that to happen here. And the only way you can protect yourself is by having gold and silver. You physically own gold and silver, not paper, gold and silver.
Well, thank you, Pimpy. That is incredible information. And actually, I'm going to be talking to you a little more after the show. I have a few more questions. But can you be found on YouTube, or do you have a website that, because even though you're a co-host for Seavine, you have your own website and a lot of shows that you do. How can people find you?
Well, on YouTube, you can find me on Pimpy's Investment Chat. The name is PIMPY, Pimpy's Investment Chat. And on there, we do talk about gold and silver as well as other investments. It's just my way of, simplifying investments so that the common Joe and Joan can understand. And, people don't think they have the ability to save or invest. And you come and listen to my shows and I show you that's not true. You do. You have more than you know. So we try to just, talk about strategies and protecting people is what we do.
Well, great. Thank you, Pimpy. You're fantastic as usual. And everybody, be sure to tune in next Saturday at 2:00 p.m. Seavine, We the People. Good day, everybody.